Me, Shinichi Kudo, I like Kobayashi, whoever thought Skywalker. It's over, I seem to have fallen in love with her. No interruptions, search for new books for future content, Conan and Ai Yuan belong to me. Chapter 1. Here. It's hell. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I like to write kissing scenes, but the problem is that it is stipulated that the body under the age of 18 cannot kiss. Therefore, the true age of Shinichi Kudo in this book is 30 years old, rounded up, and after taking medicine, he returned to 18 years old and entered Emperor Dan University. Cho Shinmao Zi Hai Yu Cho Wu Yu Zi Shu In Si Cho Wei Wei Si Hai Wei Zi Ren Shin Yu Chin Yu Cho Wu In Si Zi Shin Mao Mao Hai Shu Wei Zi Cho Shin Yu. Water escape. The art of water bomb. Dongfang Haoyue, who was stunned by the flames, frowned and shouted loudly in the small forest. Damn it. Did you fail again? I still can't release that legendary ninjutsu. Suddenly. A shooting star hit the head of the bright moon in the east. Ding. Detected a top-notch host who loves the world of Hokage to the point of madness, and enchantment. The special award encourages the host to travel to the world of Hokage. The eastern bright moon passed through with a swoop. After experiencing fluctuations in time and space, she lay in the bushes, with moonlight shining on her body. For a long time, Dongfang Haoyue opened her eyes and gazed directly at the vast starry sky. She lifted her trembling hands in ecstasy, so excited that she couldn't speak, but could only rejoice in her heart. Here. Is this the world of Hokage that I've been dreaming of? Meichin. Juxina. De Guan Mu Huiyi. I'll do it. I see you. I conquer. Suddenly. The low and sinister male voice of the demon sounded slightly from the bright moon in the east. Goodbye, detective. A rapid running sound gradually drifted away, accompanied by the roar of a Porsche 356A engine, and left the place. Dongfang Haoyue was stunned, sat up suddenly, looked around, and shouted in disbelief. Here. It's hell. Ah. Dongfang Haoyue was desperate and helpless, shedding tears of regret. Behind her are orderly skyscrapers. Although the Hokage world also has a certain level of scientific level. But from childhood to adulthood, Dongfang Haoyue spends all her leisure time watching Huiying animation. As a fire shadow demon, she could easily distinguish the distant skyscrapers at a glance. It has nothing to do with Naruto for half a penny. Here. It's definitely not the world of Hokage. Dongfang Haoyue has traveled here with only a few 100 million disappointments. She just went from being an orphan in the original world to becoming an orphan in this world. There is no difference between the two. But the painful moans from afar instantly plunged Dongfang Haoyue's mood to the bottom. Ah. My body, it's so hot, my bones, it seems to be melting soon. Ah. No way. On the lawn in the distance, there was a detective who was only 30 years old and a top school student. I am currently studying in Class B, Grade 2, at the Imperial High School. I am known as Sherlock Holmes of the Heisei era, and the savior of the Japanese police, Shinichi Kudo. Shinichi was lying on the lawn, clutching a handful of grass with his left hand and clenching his right hand into a fist. He moaned incessantly, clearly suffering immense pain. That's Shinichi Kudo. It's Shinichi Kudo. Before Dongfang Haoyue's journey, Kudo Shinichi in the anime was referred to by netizens as the walking death god college student. No matter where Shinichi goes, there will almost always be a homicide. A causal law at the level of rules. It made netizens tremble at the news and take a deep breath, terrifying to the extreme. The most deadly thing is, as a fire shadow demon, Dongfang Haoyue has never seen the follow-up plot of the famous detective Conan. My understanding of this anime only comes from the first episode Conan, which I only watched once back then. Not knowing the plot is a quite frightening thing. This means that Dongfang Haoyue cannot easily avoid various crises in Conan's world. If it weren't for the fact that Haoyue was still in the stage of being a Huiying madman before becoming a Huiying demon, she probably won't waste time watching Conan's first episode, but will wholeheartedly watch Hokage repeatedly, unable to accommodate any other anime. Dongfang Haoyue recalled that after watching the first episode, he disdained roast that Conan was not as good as Huiying, but now I don't regret it either. As a fire shadow demon, Dongfang Haoyue may die. I will never regret spending time watching Conan's subsequent storyline, watching Naruto multiple times. For Dongfang Haoyue, Huiying is much better than Conan. If this world is a world of fire shadows, Dongfang Haoyue was able to persuade Uchiha Meichin, Vortex Juxina, and Otoku Muhue Yi as close bodyguards with her fluent understanding of the plot and eloquent tongue. Not only will you have no worries about your life from now on, but you can also use various fire shadow knowledge to strengthen yourself. Even create a ninja world with Swa Meichin and Yu Huiyi, holding Jiu Shinai in the middle. At this moment, Dongfang Haoyue is hiding in the bushes, quietly watching Kudo Shinichi experience immense pain on the surface, but in reality Haoyue transformed into a furious and irritable scolding from the heavenly sovereign in her heart. System. System. Don't pretend to be dead. Get out of here. Ding. The system has insufficient energy and will automatically shut down after 10 seconds. Please participate in the main or branch storyline of Hokage World in a timely manner to obtain energy points and maintain system operation. At that time, the system will automatically start up. What? Dongfang Haoyue raised a question mark. This is Conan World, not Hokage World. How on earth did she participate in the plot of Hokage World? Hello. This is Conan World. Which fire shadow storyline should I participate in? System. System. Dongfang Haoyue cursed the evil system 3,600 times in her heart with the most beautiful words. The system remained indifferent, as if dead. Dongfang Haoyue can only reluctantly accept the fact that she has traveled to Conan's world. The wood is already a boat. Even if you want to go back, there is no chance now. The system is running out of energy, not to mention sending Dongfang Haoyue back. There are no system panels or anything like that. Without a system, Haoyue is just an ordinary person who is extremely handsome. Kudo Shinichi was still howling in pain not far away. He will have to wait for a while before he returns to college for the first time. Dongfang Haoyue decided to do something to salvage the situation. She held her chin with her right tiger mouth and pondered carefully. Firstly, try participating in the plot of Conan World to gain the system's energy points. If possible, then once I gather all the energy, immediately let the system that traps people send me to the world of Hokage that I long for. In summary, regardless of whether it works or not, we must give it a try. For the beautiful piano. For the sake of shining night. For Juxina. For the dreamy world of Hokage. Dongfang Haoyue lifted her spirits and shouted loudly, struggling to support the soil with her hands. She quickly and forcefully climbed out of the bushes and stood on the lawn with strong and handsome feet. She looked around and found only Shinichi Kudo nearby. Dongfang Haoyue quickly ran to Xinyi's side. Just as she was about to transfer Xinyi to a safe zone, Haoyue hesitated. She had a myriad of thoughts and analyzed to herself. Can we move the new one now? When I watched the first episode, it seems that no one has moved Xinyi. If I touch Xinyi and cause his process of becoming a college student to fail, wouldn't the plot all collapse? Isn't it also impossible to collect energy points? Although Dongfang Haoyue did not watch the sequel, she still remembers the teasing from netizens. She has a clear idea that the core of Detective Conan, it's the Grim Reaper college student. Death, representing Shinichi Kudo, almost always dies wherever he goes, can be called the law of causality. A college student means that he almost always maintains his appearance as a college student, which can be called a delicate decoration tool. Chapter 2. You are amazing, you are noble. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Dongfang Haoyue dared not act rashly and did not watch the subsequent plot. She wondered if she could touch the person who was turning back into a college student. She calmly thought in her heart and said, "Since I don't know if I can touch it, then I won't touch it. Wait until Xinyi returns to college and then take Xinyi out of this place. Find a way to cling to Shinichi and live together, so that you can participate in the subsequent plot at any time. By the way, my registered residence also needs to be handled, so I can't be a black account. At this point, I must do something. At least I want to pretend to be rescuing Shinichi. If someone comes here to inquire about the situation, should be able to use the banner of saving people to reduce the risk of being unidentified." Dongfang Haoyue scanned the surroundings and confirmed once again that there was no one around, quickly pressing her hands down and lightly pressing on Kudo Shinichi's chest. Seemingly undergoing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, there is still a tiny gap between the two. Ding! A little energy has been received and the system is starting up. What? Dongfang Haoyue suddenly froze and couldn't help but make 3 question marks. She exclaimed in surprise and joy in her heart. Is this okay too? I just lightly pressed my hand on Xinyi's chest, and the system obtained the energy point. It seems that my previous guess was correct. Whether it's Conan world or Hokage world, as long as you participate in the plot, you can provide energy points for the system. After accumulating over time, I will definitely be able to gather the energy points to travel through the world of Hokage. Everything still has a turning point. I can still see Mei-chin, Huey, and Juxina. You can even release a water cannon. Therefore the new one is the top priority for me to travel through the fire's shadow in the future. I must protect Shinichi. Dongfang Haoyue lowered her head to look at Kudo Shinichi's handsome face, trying to confirm whether Shinichi's condition was good. Who had ever thought What? Goddamn system, what have you done to me? System. You come out of the system. I want to take your dog's life. Ah. Dongfang Haoyue was furious and didn't even care about being heard by outsiders when she shouted loudly. She saw her own hand. A pair of exquisite hands that are as white as jade and as condensed as fat. The only downside is that the hands are a bit young, like the hands of a college student. After crossing over, Dongfang Haoyue remained in a chaotic state of anger and excitement for a long time, without carefully observing herself. Until now, when she lowered her head and looked down at her whole body, she realized that she had become a college student all over. No wonder I felt inconvenient when I stood up just now. It turns out that after becoming a college student, my clothes have become a little bigger. Just as Dongfang Haoyue was about to die with grief and anger. Ding! The system has turned on. Dog system. Can you give me a handsome and graceful 31-year-old body, with a jade tree and a graceful demeanor? Give it back to me. Dongfang Haoyue sat in despair and helplessness on the grass to the left of Kudo Shinichi, completely giving up the plan of pretending to use cardiopulmonary resuscitation to rescue Shinichi. Who would believe that a college student plotted the murder of Detective Shinichi Kudo, a top-tier student? Ding! The system doesn't quite understand what the host is saying. Please say it again. This system doesn't look very smart. The greatest advantage of Dongfang Haoyue is her quick calmness, especially when the situation is already settled and irreversible. She was no longer powerless and furious. She calmly pondered for 5 seconds and asked in a concise manner in her heart. System, how did my body turn back into a college student? Ding! Time and space travel has a certain chance of changing the age of the host. The host is lucky. Becoming a college student is equivalent to extending their lifespan by several years. Dongfang Haoyue loudly rebuked with unstable emotions. Your sister's luck is good. You give me back my original body. Give it to me. Look at my current appearance. What face do I have to meet Mei-chin, Huey, and Juxina? Can we use the image of college students to fool them? Ding! There is no sister in this system. Ding ding ding, ding your second uncle's ding. System, system. You're amazing, you're noble. You brought me here, have you ever thought of taking me back? Dongfang Haoyue angrily spewed 300 rounds in her heart. Ding. This system provides friendly reminders. Matter has a decisive effect on consciousness. After time fluctuations, some hormones in the host's body undergo earth-shattering changes. It will gradually lead to the host's ideological and university biochemistry. Mainly reflected in language, actions, and psychological activities. Intelligence alone is an exception. Because intelligence is carried by the host's soul, it is not affected. For example, the intrigue and struggle with the villains in the ninja world. A psychological game against the hero who saved his mother. Thinking about the battle with the Hellbringer with soil. Any host related to intelligence issues will not be influenced by ideological and biochemical factors. Please note that the system is about to enter energy-saving mode. The current energy point will be consumed in 23 hours and 55 minutes. At that time, it will automatically shut down. Please participate in the Huiying storyline in a timely manner and replenish the system's energy points. I have taken over your old sick system. Even if I brought the wrong place, it turned me back into a college student. College students are good. You also said that my ideology can be transformed into a university life. I don't believe it. Not right. Was that my tone just now? Wait. This is Conan. It's Conan World. You haven't checked the world line even after booting up for so long. Dongfang Haoyue trembled all over in the winter weather, and her hands and feet were cold. Surprisingly, she encountered such an unwise and unscrupulous system. Can this world still be good? Suddenly, two men's voices could be heard in the distance. Hello. Is someone dead over there? What are you saying? Dongfang Haoyue's heart tightened. She watched the ending Easter egg of Detective Conan's first episode and knew in her heart that two police officers were coming. For a moment, Dongfang Haoyue didn't know how to handle the current situation. There are two college students on the lawn, one of whom is sitting on the ground, and the other is lying on the ground with unknown life or death. No matter what you think, it's hard to explain. At this moment, Shinichi Kudo's body no longer trembled and he completely transformed into a college student, slowly awakening his consciousness. I can't handle so much anymore. 36 strategies are the best. Dongfang Haoyue saw that Kudo Shinichi's body had returned to calm, and decisively extended her hands to adjust Shinichi's posture, struggling to carry him behind her. Haoyue looked around and found a gate not far away that led to the outside world. She rushed towards the gate with heavy steps. Kudo Shinichi tried to open his eyes in a daze. He vaguely heard the words of two police officers and felt as if someone was carrying them on his back. Kudo Shinichi heard the person say that walking was the best strategy, but his brain was dizzy and unable to control his body's movements. Two police officers, one fat and one thin, hurriedly ran to the location where Dongfang Haoyue and Xinyi were just now, using flashlights to explore the surroundings. Call out, just now I saw someone lying on the ground here. Why is there nothing now? The chubby police officer was panting heavily and randomly scanned the surroundings with a flashlight, trying to find hidden traces at the scene. You're right. Someone did indeed exist here just now. The skinny police officer used a flashlight to explore the surrounding lawn inch by inch and finally discovered the remnants of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi. I'm reporting to my superiors now and asking them to quickly send some police officers to investigate the surrounding area. The chubby police officer spoke and picked up the walkie-talkie hanging from his side. He reported seriously. Pay attention. Suspected traces of criminal gangs have been found in Zone C, and we request the support of higher authorities to investigate the surrounding area. The thin police officer nodded calmly and ordered calmly. All right, we have finished exploring here. Let's go nearby and see if there are any other clues. The chubby police officer saluted with his right hand and responded forcefully. Yes, sir. Due to the darkness, Dongfang Haoyue hurriedly carried Kudo Shinichi on her back and couldn't see the road clearly. When turning, Haoyue accidentally slammed Xinyi's head into a tree, making a soft thud. Kudo Shinichi has not yet regained consciousness and has completely fainted. Dongfang Haoyue only focused on running relentlessly, without realizing that Xinyi had taken critical damage. Haoyue quickly ran out of the amusement park, running aimlessly on the street. After a while, Dongfang Haoyue couldn't run anymore and found a hidden alley nearby, then walked in. She leaned heavily against the wall of the alley, panting heavily, and sighed with disappointment in her heart. Sigh. After becoming a college student, I feel uncomfortable all over. If it weren't for when I was running just now, I would have used my rapidly increasing energy points to exchange for chakra constitution. I'm afraid I can't carry Xinyi for such a long distance. And this loose-fitting outfit, if it weren't for the cold weather I have already taken off this heavy burden. Hiss. Where am I? Kudo Shinichi slowly opened his eyes and asked a confused question. At this moment, Xinyi is sitting on the cold concrete ground, with his upper body leaning against the wall. This is precisely the wonderful sleeping area carefully provided by Dongfang Haoyue. Chapter 3. The Art of Separation. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. You've finally woken up, Shinichi Kudo. Dongfang Haoyue approached Kudo Shinichi and looked at him with an evil gaze. This is a treasure trove for obtaining energy points, we must keep an eye on it. Just as she was running with Kudo Shinichi on her back, Dongfang Haoyue had roughly figured out how to face Shinichi. And how to explain one's identity. Not only that. If it weren't for the endless tinkling of the system at that time, indicating the acquisition of energy points. Dongfang Haoyue can also fabricate a more comprehensive and detailed story that will be used later to deceive Shinichi Kudo. You. Are you? How could I be here? I remember I saw a man in black engaged in a criminal transaction before, and then I just don't remember anything. Hiss. Kudo Shinichi was hit on the head by the man in black with a stick, and just now his head was hit by the careless Dongfang Haoyue on a tree. My thinking is not very clear yet, and I am completely confused. Kudo Shinichi felt a severe headache and leaned weakly against the corner of the wall. My name is Dongfang Haoyue, an innocent ninja who was persecuted by a man in black. Magical figure Dongfang Haoyue stood tall in front of Kudo Shinichi, about to begin a dazzling performance. But Shinichi mercilessly interrupted Haoyue, calmly questioning her one after another. Ninjas. Are you a ninja? Ninjas popular during the Edo period. Listen to me first, my ninja is different from those ninjas who only know how to throw darts and play assassination. I am a true ninja with supernatural powers. Dongfang Haoyue proudly bears the seal of her clone technique. Out of grandeur, she shouted loudly. The art of clone. Miracle has been born. On the right side of Dongfang Haoyue, a soft and prone clone appeared out of thin air. She actually did it. What? What is this? Is it the latest projection technology? The materialist detective Shinichi Kudo was extremely shocked. He couldn't believe that there was supernatural power in this world and tried to understand it all as the greatness of science. No, no, no. This is not a phantom created by high-tech equipment, but a ninjutsu released through chakras. It can let me separate myself from the body. Although clones do not possess physical entities and can easily shatter with a single thrust, they can sometimes serve to confuse enemies. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue was so excited that she crossed her hips and laughed up in the sky. 31 years. 31 years. I have finally successfully released my first ninjutsu in life. Dongfang Haoyue was filled with surging pride. Since she watched Hokage, she has been diligently practicing seal making every day. But all the people on the planet before crossing were mortals and could not extract chakras from their bodies. Dongfang Haoyue once attempted to learn and refine chakras based on the explanations in anime and manga, but it was completely impossible. Until today. Just now. When the system kept tinkling endlessly along the way, Dongfang Haoyue, based on her own exploration, turned off the automatic reminder for obtaining energy points and opened the system all. Haoyue used the obtained energy points to purchase chakra constitution and trace amounts of chakra, as well as the cheapest way to learn clone art. If you want to learn clone art directly, you will need more energy points. Now the system only has 3 points of energy left. It's okay. Dongfang Haoyue believes that as long as he keeps an eye on the male protagonist Shinichi Kudo of Conan World, he can definitely harvest a continuous stream of energy points in the future. Although I still can't believe what you just said. But judging from my perspective as a detective, you did not deceive me. Kudo Shinichi looked around and admitted that what Dongfang Haoyue said was true. It is difficult to install technology equipment with projection function here without being discovered by the new generation. As a detective who is a 30-year-old high school student, he appears extremely seasoned in terms of rationality. Kudo Shinichi is indeed a true materialist, but when supernatural facts are presented to him he will not resist, but accept it calmly. The essence of supernatural is also science, which cannot be explained by science in the current era. Kudo Shinichi carefully looked at the unknown object Dongfang Haoyue made with the split body technique, and mercilessly roast. That Haoyue's clone technique is also too bad. I can't even tell where it looks like a clone. Dongfang Haoyue awkwardly lifted her clone spell. I have only learned a few minutes of clone art, and it is understandable that I am not proficient in it. Unconsciously using soft and cute tone words, Dongfang Haoyue, after apologizing for herself in her heart, arrogantly scolded. What do you know? This is a small step for me, Dongfang Haoyue, to step into ninja. This is also a big step for me to become the strongest ninja in the future. Kudo Shinichi rolled his eyes imperceptibly and asked seriously. Now Haoyue should explain. What exactly happened before? I am currently in a state of confusion and in urgent need of reasoning and intelligence to regain my sanity. Have you not discovered Xinyi yet? Let's take a look at your hands first. Look at your feet again. Kudo Shinichi. Dongfang Haoyue, who looked more and more like a college student and used soft and cute tone words again, looked solemn and spoke frankly, waking up Shinichi Kudo. What? How could this be? I actually. Kudo Shinichi was incredulous, with a bewildering expression on his face. He was reminded by Dongfang Haoyue and stared intently at his hands and feet for a while, murmuring words of negation to himself. Dongfang Haoyue took advantage of the situation to recall the plot of Conan's first episode back then, and half-truthfully deceived her by saying, "The man in black has mastered a peculiar medicine." They mistakenly believed that after being taken by someone, no high-tech could detect the ingredients of the drug, and it was a drug that killed invisibly. In fact, they directly used that medicine on me without conducting human experiments. And I was rescued by someone again, which led them to believe without doubt that I had already died, and that kind of medicine that turned me back into a college student was a poison that killed invisibly. Little did they know that it was just a magical medicine that brought people back to their youth. Just are you too young? Dongfang Haoyue tried to use a humorous and witty way to gradually calm down Shinichi Kudo. This is related to Haoyue's legitimate participation in the plot with Shinichi and obtaining a large number of energy points to travel through the world of Hokage. Finally, she married Meichin, Huey, and Juxina, and embarked on the pinnacle of her life path from now on. Kudo Shinichi gradually calmed down upon hearing these words. After all, he is a rational detective. Since all of this has already happened, the only way is to accept it calmly and search for a way for your body to return to its original state. Dongfang Haoyue watched as Kudo Shinichi's emotions gradually calmed down, and she happily fabricated and said. Just a few days ago, I was a handsome and charming 31-year-old beauty. But those black-clad people somehow found my master and wanted to obtain the true mystery of ninjas from him. Kudo Shinichi looked at Dongfang Haoyue in surprise and repeated in confusion. Your master. That's right, my ninjutsu was taught to me by my master. Dongfang Haoyue raised her face and seriously fabricated. He said that I need billions of people to have such a chakra physique. 1. Kudo Shinichi was speechless for a moment, and with a strong thirst for knowledge, he asked. Chakra constitution. Yes. Dongfang Haoyue looked at Kudo Shinichi with an unchanged expression and explained solemnly. Not everyone can learn ninjutsu, which belongs to supernatural powers. Only people with chakra constitution can practice ninjutsu through chakra extraction techniques. Even if an ordinary person obtains the method of chakra extraction, as long as they do not have chakra constitution, they cannot become a ninja. Dongfang Haoyue's proud hands on her hips have fully integrated into the fabricated stories. Obviously, she has reached the highest level of deceit. That's before deceiving others, deceive yourself first. At this moment, Dongfang Haoyue truly believes that she is an unparalleled genius among billions. Chapter 4. Unable to stay tight. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Kudo Shin glanced at the arrogant Dongfang Haoyue and asked helplessly. Okay. What happened later? My master is a powerful ninja. Unfortunately, the strength of ninjas is mainly reflected in destruction. Therefore the defense of ninjas is not outstanding, usually only a few times stronger than that of ordinary people. If the enemy uses dozens of firearms and saturates the ninja with attacks. Dongfang Haoyue deliberately showed a hint of sadness, attempting to express her memory of her deceased master. Haoyue wants to make the fabricated story more realistic, in order to deceive Shinichi Kudo. Xinyi pondered for 2 seconds and gestured with a concerned gaze for Dongfang Haoyue to continue speaking. Haoyue looked sorrowfully at the sky and fabricated with deep affection. That was a night. A group of people in black found their master's secluded residence on the outskirts, but did not immediately take action against him. But rather, holding me hostage while extracting chakras in the forest. Dongfang Haoyue felt extremely sad and self-blaming, saying, "It's all my fault. If I hadn't practiced in the woods, but stayed inside the house master, he is not so passive as an elderly person. He won't even sacrifice his life to save me. I am guilty. I deserve to die for it." Kudo Shinichi couldn't hold his tension any longer, and the corners of his mouth were almost rising. As a detective named after a 30-year-old high school student, he saw early on that Dongfang Haoyue was fabricating a story. Haoyue's body was full of flaws, and various lying micro-movements were vividly displayed. It is difficult for Kudo Shinichi not to see Dongfang Haoyue's tricks. However, Shinichi also saw some real things. For example, the technique of clone. The supernatural power made Shinichi Kudo very eager to explore, so he tried his best to cooperate with Dongfang Haoyue's performance. Haoyue didn't know that she had been seen through long ago and was still performing to her heart's content. His fabricated emotional integration. Dozens of people in black surrounded me, each holding an AK-47 in their hand. I was extremely scared at that time. I can only watch helplessly as they come forward and pinch my throat, forcing me to swallow a pill. I feel they may be using me to test the effectiveness of the medication. Dongfang Haoyue quietly glanced at Kudo Shinichi and confirmed that Shinichi had not seen through the fabricated story. Haoyue pretended to pay tribute to her master and passionately recounted. Although I am the only adopted son of master, he never allows me to call him father, only allowing me to call him master. My master once told me on my 31st birthday, he will teach me how to become an excellent ninja like my master. Unfortunately, on the day of the tragedy I'm only 31 years old and 1 week old. I, who am not proficient in my studies, cannot escape the encirclement of so many firearms. Dongfang Haoyue deliberately expressed extreme guilt and painful memories, saying, "Until now. I always remember when I was completely panicked, completely disoriented, unsure of what to do. Even I am already fantasizing about my own funeral, perhaps as an orphan. No family or friends attended my funeral." Dongfang Haoyue's tone was somewhat low and gradually fell into silence. Suddenly, Dongfang Haoyue passionately fabricated. "Just as I thought I was going to die, without a doubt. Master took the initiative to step out of the alloy house he had specially built to withstand bullets. To this day, I still remember my master's gentle smile as he passed away. It seems like the black-clothed person in front of me is just a group of local chickens, tiles, and dogs. Even the gun in the black-clothed man's hand, it's just a few dozen fire sticks. Kudo Shinichi is really on the verge of holding back, and he's even about to burst out laughing. He really didn't expect Dongfang Haoyue to be a top-notch genius, to fabricate the story to such an extent. It's just too exaggerated. Let Dongfang Haoyue continue to weave it, I won't be able to finish it tomorrow morning. The most crucial thing is that if Kudo Shinichi laughs at this time, he doesn't even know how to face Haoyue in the future." Taking advantage of the breathing gap of Dongfang Haoyue, Xinyi hurriedly interrupted. "Haoyue, it has been 6 minutes and 30.7 seconds since the moment I woke up. If Haoyue continues to say so, this alley may not be safe anymore. I suggest Haoyue directly mention the key points, or let's leave this place first and wait until my home before slowly elaborating." Cough. Cough. Dongfang Haoyue, who was forcibly interrupted to make up the story, was momentarily choked. She tried her best to alleviate her nervousness and awkwardness, and quickly fabricated. "The key is, Master has already left the mark of the Flying Thunder God on me. This is a spatial ninjutsu. Master is able to perceive and teleport to the side of the mark. At the beginning, Shifu moved to my side in a flash, trying to hold my shoulder and send me away from the dangerous guns. However, space ninjutsu emphasizes spatial talent. Master's spatial talent is not good. The speed of his old man's teleportation is too slow. Therefore the man in black seized the opportunity and hit his master several times with a snap. I can only watch helplessly as the master next to me sprays out a few streams of blood." Dongfang Haoyue still maintains a melancholic expression of sadness flowing against the river, like a highly skilled professional actor. In the beautiful fantasy of Haoyue, his story is seamless, and there is absolutely no flaw in his performance. I am sure I have deeply impressed Kudo Shinichi, who is leaning against the corner of the wall, and made Shinichi believe it. However, Dongfang Haoyue is very clear in her heart that the alley is not absolutely safe. She reluctantly gave up some scenes and suggestive lines she had imagined in advance, and quickened her pace, firing like a machine gun, without any breathing, to fabricate. The group of people in black gradually relaxed their vigilance and stopped shooting when they saw their master being shot several times. It's also possible they want to stay alive and gain the secrets of the ninjas. In this way, Master successfully seized the opportunity and transported me and him to a park in the city. Dongfang Haoyue disguised herself as a mournful expression in memory of her master, choking up and fabricating. At that time, my master was almost exhausted because the shooting caused several fatal injuries to my master. Even if I went to the hospital, it was of no use. So before his death, Master exhausted all his body to perform the technique of topping with chakras. He infused all the ninja mysteries into my brain, making me dizzy with a splitting headache. Anyway, you, Shinichi Kudo, don't know if the ninjas have the ability to be crowned. It's not like I can make whatever Dongfang Haoyue wants. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue had her hands akimbo in her heart, laughing up in the sky. She is multitasking and speaks very fast, feeling a bit breathless. Dongfang Haoyue breathed in 2 breaths of fresh air, pretending to reminisce and saying, "When I woke up, the sky was dim. Under the bright moonlight, I found myself lying on the lawn of the park, with my master lying beside me. His blood soaked the soil one after another. I trembled and reached out to test my master's breath, only to find he has already returned to heaven. In order to bring the story to a successful conclusion, Dongfang Haoyue forced her sparkling big eyes to shed a tear, creating a sorrowful expression of tears. Kudo Shinichi was so tense that he felt like he was about to burst out with internal injuries. He sincerely hopes that Dongfang Haoyue will no longer be enchanted. Kudo Shinichi looked at Haoyue with 3 parts sympathy and 7 parts regret on the surface, but in reality, he hugged his head with both hands in his heart and said desperately and helplessly, "Hurry up and end this well written, and don't make up any more outrageous stories next time. Every little action that shows lying all over the body, even if it's a billion points less." So my famous detective, Shinichi Kudo, who is only 30 years old, may really believe your lies about Dongfang Haoyue. The titles of many chapters in this novel are too colorful, and I can only modify them to ordinary titles. I strongly recommend a new book that inherits the content of this book. Conan and Ai Hybra, all belong to me. The first few chapters are the debut of the mysterious man. Chapter 5. Dr. Agai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kudo Shinichi looked at the clear tears sliding from the corners of Dongfang Haoyue's eyes and forcefully suppressed his desire to laugh. He pretended to be sad and said empathetically, "That's not Haoyue's fault." Dongfang Haoyue saw Kudo Shinichi's true feelings reveal and immediately had a clear idea. Xinyi is clearly trapped in my fabricated story and cannot extricate himself. I am indeed a genius in performance. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue's handsome face always maintained a sad expression, but in her heart, she crossed her arms and laughed up in the sky. In order to better adapt to the situation, she wiped away the tears hanging from the corners of her eyes one by one with her right hand, pretending to be heartbroken with memories and saying, "I originally wanted to lift up my master and bury him properly, but whoever thought my strength wasn't enough. Just when I thought I was too weak to lift my master, I realized my body has turned back into a college student." In addition to my shock, I unexpectedly remembered the medicine of the man in black. That medicine, it must be the culprit that caused my body to turn back into a college student. Absolutely right. Damn it, the black-clad gang is despicable and shameless. They bully people too much. Dongfang Haoyue deliberately stomped her feet in anger and fabricated a sad statement. Later, I managed to clean up the bloodstains and tried my best to carry my master on my back. According to his last wish, I buried him under the cherry blossom tree in the park. Finally, I risked my life and returned to the outskirts, only to find my master's house. It has already been flattened by the black gang using explosives. Dongfang Haoyue wanted to continue making up stories, but Kudo Shinichi couldn't bear to watch anymore. Xinyi tried hard to restrain the gliding corners of her mouth, and said in her heart, "Haoyue destroyed all the evidence that could prove her identity in the story. What a great intelligence! Are you trying to deceive me, Shinichi Kudo, as if I were a fool in fact?" Kudo Shinichi, who had been sitting against the wall for a long time, had already regained normal health. He stood up with a jump of his legs, skillfully blocking Dongfang Haoyue's mouth with his right hand and quickly releasing it. He interrupted coolly. "Alright, it's been 9 minutes and 40.7 seconds since I woke up. Regardless of whether Haoyue believes me or not, I completely believe in Haoyue. To get to the point, Haoyue will come home with me first, and then she can say whatever she wants." Dongfang Haoyue was not yet fully satisfied, but Kudo Shinichi's words were reasonable. After a brief pause, he still thought of, "It seems that the rest can only be said on the way." Dongfang Haoyue, realizing this, proudly boasted with her hands on her hips. "It's okay, I'm a ninja." Running and talking without panting as Dongfang Haoyue spoke, she suddenly remembered that she was a traveler and didn't even know the way. She put down her hands and fooled innocently, saying, "Shinichi leads the way ahead. I have always lived in the suburbs and am not familiar with the city center." Dongfang Haoyue is constantly trying to conceal the identity of the traveler. She wants Kudo Shinichi to believe that everyone is a victim, so that she can use the name of investigating the Black Gang together and openly follow Shinichi to participate in the plot and collect a massive amount of energy points. Finally, cross the world of Hokage and reach the pinnacle of life. Okay. Kudo Shinichi shook his head helplessly. He walked out of the alley first, scanned the surroundings, and found familiar shops and tall buildings. Finally, he breathed a sigh of relief. Kudo Shinichi relaxed and praised. Haoyue is very lucky. Even if you don't know the way, you can run to my neighborhood. Now it takes over a minute to get to my house. Dongfang Haoyue didn't expect her luck to be so good. When she ran desperately with Kudo Shinichi on her back, she didn't observe the street at all, just randomly picked a direction and ran in panic. Who would have thought of accidentally breaking into the alley near the new house? It's like this. I truly deserve to be the genius ninja among billions, Dongfang Haoyue. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue put her hands on her hips and laughed up in the sky. Little did he know that Kudo Shinichi had already run a distance towards home. Haoyue. Kudo Shinichi slowed down his pace and turned to look at the silly and cute Dongfang Haoyue. He angrily urged him loudly. What are you doing standing still? Hurry up and follow me. Come on. Dongfang Haoyue quickly regained her senses and looked at Kudo Shinichi with a smile on her face. She responded warmly and followed Shinichi with swift steps. Shinichi looked over his head at the road ahead, pursed his lips, and whispered to himself in a sorrowful voice. Really? Haoyue is clearly a middle-aged person, but after her body has changed back to a college student, even her mentality has changed back to a college student. After a short period of time, the bright moon shone brightly. The spacious road outside the gate of the wider courtyard of the Kudo family is illuminated by bright street lights, driving out the darkness. We've finally arrived. Kudo Shinichi happily stopped on the road outside the courtyard gate, turned towards the gate, looked ahead, and relaxed as he exhaled a mouthful of carbon dioxide. Dongfang Haoyue steadily stopped on the left side of Xinyi, curiously observing the surrounding environment and surprised to discover a high-end, grand, and upscale luxury villa stands in the distance within the courtyard gate. Kudo Shinichi rested for a moment and took a few steps forward, trying to unlock the door. However, he stood on tiptoe and reached up with all his strength. Unable to touch the lock, he clenched his fists with both hands and said in a furious and incompetent manner. Damn it! I can't even enter my own home. If this continues, I won't be able to do anything. Kudo Shinichi, who turned back into a college student, was influenced by the laws of the universe and his feet were unrealistically trapped underground. No matter how much you tiptoe or stretch your arms, you can't touch your own door lock. Dongfang Haoyue, who was also influenced by the rules of the universe, followed Kudo Shinichi to the left and looked at Shinichi, who was slightly depressed, with a smile on her face. She said with joy, trying to suppress her excitement. Cough. I said. Let me unlock the horn. At least I am 10 centimeters taller than the new one. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue became happier as she spoke, with her hands on her hips and laughing recklessly. Haoyue. Kudo Shinichi was extremely sad and angry. He hugged his head with both hands and looked at Dongfang Haoyue in agony, his mentality exploding, and he said frantically. We all took that medicine. Why is Haoyue so much taller than me? Not scientific, not at all scientific. The words have just finished. Boom. A loud explosion echoed from the wall of the neighbor's house on the right into the ears of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi. They turned their heads together to look at their neighbor's house on the right and found a large hole in the wall, surrounded by dust and smoke shrouding a figure. Dongfang Haoyue fixed her gaze and suddenly realized that it was a bald old man with 2 large white beards on his mouth, wearing a white coat without a zipper, a black woolen sweater, and a bunch of white curly hair at the back of his head. Cough, cough. The bald old man lay on a large stone, coughing incessantly, clearly choked by dust. Dongfang Haoyue stared intently at the old man and earnestly recalled in her heart. This looks a bit familiar, I must have seen it somewhere. Cough. The bald old man somersaulted and flipped from the gravel to the concrete floor of the street. Kudo Shinichi pulled Dongfang Haoyue and rushed to the old man, shouting with joy and joy. Dr. Ashikaga. Upon hearing these words, Dongfang Haoyue's hazy memory in her mind instantly became clear, and she suddenly realized. It's him, Dr. Ashikaga. Dongfang Haoyue remembered the first episode she had watched, where Detective Conan did indeed appear for a few minutes as Dr. Agai, but Haoyue has long forgotten about it. At this moment, Dr. Agai, Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi stood on the cement ground half a meter in front of Dr. Ashikaga's left, standing side by side in perfect harmony. Dr. Ashikaga hesitated slightly and looked at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi in surprise. He asked in confusion. Who are you? It's me. Kudo Shinichi raised his right index finger and aimed it at his handsome face, anxiously introducing himself loudly. I'm Shinichi. Oh. Dr. Agai stood up with one hand supporting the ground and patted the dust on his buttocks with both hands. He turned left and exclaimed with a sudden realization. So you are the sons of Shinichi's relatives, no wonder you look so much like Shinichi in college. Dr. Ashikaga reached out to the Kudo family and kindly explained. Shinichi's home is right next door. Before he could finish speaking, Dr. Ashikaga walked to the wall on the right side of the entrance to the Kudo family, pressed the switch on the quick communication device below the doorbell, and politely called out loudly. Hello Xinyi, a customer is looking for you. I am Shinichi. Kudo Shinichi turned around and anxiously looked at Dr. Ashikaga. He clenched his fists and placed them on his chest, emphasizing urgently. Kudo Shinichi, second-year student at Emperor Dan Super School. Kudo Shinichi looked at Dr. Ashikaga, who had turned around and had a round face filled with astonishment, and earnestly defended himself. If you don't believe me, I can tell you something about you. Kudo Shinichi pointed his right hand at Dr. Ashikaga's chest and quickly revealed. Dr. Ashi is 64 years old this year and lives next door to me. He is an inventor with a completely different and somewhat strange style. Although claiming to be a genius, all the things made are scrap metal. And the mole on your buttocks has grown a hair, ha. Dongfang Haoyue stood on the left side of Kudo Shinichi, staring blankly at Dr. Ashikaga and couldn't help but laugh. Xinyi and Doctor interrupted the conversation, turned their heads neatly and looked at Haoyue in confusion. Ah! Dongfang Haoyue noticed Kudo Shinichi's unhappy gaze and awkwardly stopped laughing. Haoyue placed her right hand on her chest and gently waved it with her palm facing outward, smiling obediently and innocently as she gestured. That. Keep going, you guys keep going. Chapter 6. Haoyue wears Xinyi's clothes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where did you mention it earlier? Dr. Ashikaga rubbed his head in confusion, and with some recollection, he looked at the confident Shinichi Kudo in surprise, unable to believe it. The secret you finally revealed is only new and clear, isn't it? Dr. Agai embraced his hands and doubted with dissatisfaction. That kid told me my secret. Kudo Shinichi, whose face was full of anticipation, suddenly froze. He hung his hands weakly on both sides of his body, and his heart was filled with thoughts. I have told so many secrets, Dr. Ashikaga, why don't you believe me yet? Kudo Shinichi thought for a moment and angrily rebuked in his heart. Damn black gang. If it weren't for them turning me back into a college student. How could Dr. Ashikaga not believe me? Upon realizing this, Kudo Shinichi clenched his hands tightly into fists and eagerly looked at Dr. Ashikaga, arguing anxiously. It's not as you think, I'm really the new one. I was drugged by a man in black and turned back into a college student. And more. The Dongfang Haoyue around me is also like this. Without hesitation, Dongfang Haoyue nodded and solemnly agreed, saying, yes. Ha. Dr. Ashikaga looked at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi with a skeptical expression and confirmed in silence. Because I drank medicine, I became a college student again. Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi patted their chests and admitted in unison. Yeah. Haha. Dr. Agai smiled with distrust. He put his hands in his pockets and said with a stern demeanor of a great scientist. If there really is that kind of medicine, I would like to see it with my own eyes. As for now. After pondering for a moment, Dr. Ashi angrily educated. Strange two little ghosts, let me take you to the police. Before he could finish speaking, Dr. Ashi firmly grabbed the arms of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi with both hands, and walked steadily towards the police station. Haoyue did not break free. She just opened the system panel and found that the energy point was rapidly rising. She was almost overjoyed and didn't want to stop Dr. Agai's action at all. Upon seeing that the situation was not progressing well, Kudo Shinichi looked sincerely at the doctor and analyzed at a fast pace, saying, Doctor, did you just come back from the Colombo Western restaurant? And you use running? What? Dr. Ashikaga suddenly stopped and turned his head to look at Shinichi Kudo, who had a clear mind. He was extremely surprised and asked. You? How do you know? Doctor's clothes. Kudo Shinichi inserted his hand into his pocket and calmly looked at Dr. Ashikaga, explaining calmly. There are wet marks on the front of the clothes, but not on the back, which is evidence of running in the rain. Also, your pants are stained with splashing mud. The only place nearby that turns into a muddy road when it rains is in front of the ongoing construction of the Colombo restaurant. Am I right, Dr. Agai? Kudo Shinichi looked at Dr. Ashikaga with great enthusiasm, exuding the aura of a famous detective all over his body. Dongfang Haoyue, with one hand on her back, carefully observed the doctor's clothes and pants, nodded in approval, and exclaimed in admiration in her heart. Shinichi truly deserves to be a detective. It's amazing how easily I analyzed something that I couldn't possibly know. Not only that. Kudo Shinichi looked at Dr. Ashikaga with ease and calmly revealed. On top of your beard. Stained with the specially made meat foam and spicy sauce from the Colombo restaurant. Dongfang Haoyue stared intently at Dr. Ashikaga's beard and suddenly realized that Kudo Shinichi had spoken again. She was shocked in her heart and said. Why didn't I notice these details just now? Difficult, is this the difference between genius ninjas and genius detectives? Ah. Dr. Ashikaga touched his beard and looked at Shinichi Kudo in disbelief. He spoke incoherently and couldn't believe it, saying. You are. Humph. Kudo Shinichi smiled slightly. He placed his right index finger in front of his right shoulder, gently swayed it, perfectly revealing and returning to the signature posture of a college student, calmly announcing. This is just a preliminary judgment. Oh. Dr. Ashikaga looked back and forth at Shinichi Kudo and Higashi in a bewildered way, and exclaimed in extreme surprise. You are really a newcomer. That's right. Dongfang Haoyue satisfactorily closed the system panel that was still rising energy points. She knew that Dr. Ashikaga believed what Kudo Shinichi had said and decided to help Shinichi add the last piece of weight and become a key witness. She decisively slapped her chest and candidly said, cool and handsome. I, Dongfang Haoyue, can testify for Xinyi. Dongfang Haoyue cautiously looked around and gave serious advice. This matter is a long story, why don't we go to Dr. Ashi's house first and have a long conversation? Yes. Kudo Shinichi gave a approving glance at Dongfang Haoyue and calmly looked at Dr. Ashikaga, who had not yet understood the situation. He carefully arranged. Dr. Ashi, I can't finish talking about my experience with Haoyue for a while. It's better to go inside and talk about it. Ah. I was negligent about this. Dr. Ashikaga awkwardly rubbed his face, took the lead in flipping over the rubble of the collapsed wall, and walked steadily towards the spacious villa in the center of the courtyard, like a double-layered cake. He smiled and invited. Welcome to my house as guests. Ah. Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi looked at each other and were both shocked in their hearts, saying, Shouldn't you enter through the main gate of the yard? After a moment of thought, Kudo Shinichi said in a daze in his heart. By the way, we are still wearing middle-aged clothes. Kudo Shinichi quickly extended his right hand straight forward with his palm facing downwards, and stopped in a short, loud voice. Wait, Dr. Agai. Dr. Ashikaga stopped, turned around, and looked at Shinichi Kudo in confusion. Shinichi calmly looked at the doctor and explained in a concise manner. Go to my house and change clothes. That's right. Dr. Ashikaga suddenly realized and flipped over the gravel, taking big steps towards Shinichi Kudo. He smiled uncontrollably and joked. As a new college student, I'll leave the task of leading the way to you, ha. Dongfang Haoyue was slightly stunned, raised her hands high, and exclaimed excitedly in a loud voice. I'm going to Shinichi's house so soon. Why is Haoyue so excited? Kudo Shinichi shook his head sorrowfully and took the lead in walking towards the door of the Kudo family. 8 seconds later. The villa courtyard of the Kudo family. Dongfang Haoyue, Kudo Shinichi, and Dr. Ashikaga each pondered different issues and walked side by side without saying a word, creating a somewhat stagnant atmosphere. It wasn't until everyone walked into the living room of the villa that Haoyue felt the atmosphere became much more harmonious. Xinyi and Haoyue, hurry up and change into the clothes of Xinyi University. Dr. Ashikaga sat on the longer sofa as usual, looking warmly at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi in front of him, and jokingly said in a friendly tone. Now your college students' bodies are wearing middle-aged clothes, it's really uncomfortable, got it? Kudo Shinichi looked at Dr. Ashikaga with displeasure, and looked at Dongfang Haoyue on the left with a gentle and easygoing expression. He smiled and invited, saying. Haoyue, come with me, there are clothes suitable for the bright moon in the changing room, aha. Thank you, Shinichi. Able to wear clothes from the new college years, ha, that's great. Dongfang Haoyue had her hands on her hips, not knowing how happy she was. Haoyue really likes to joke. Kudo Shinichi awkwardly pulled Dongfang Haoyue and quickly walked to the outside of the dressing room. He held down the door handle with one hand and pushed open the door. He looked at Haoyue with a gentle expression and smiled helplessly, saying. All right, come in with me and change clothes quickly, aha. Dongfang Haoyue smiled and looked at Kudo Shinichi, happily dragging him into the dressing room. After a period of time. Study. What a headache. Kudo Shinichi stood on the cold mahogany floor, with his back facing the open study door. Wearing a single-button dark blue suit, white lining, and a red bow in front of the collar, he looked down at the floor, stretched his arms unhappily, and said roast. It's all because of the black-clothed man, who caused me to fit perfectly in my freshman year clothes. Aha. In addition to a bow, Dongfang Haoyue, dressed in the same attire as Kudo Shinichi, stood on Shinichi's left side, jumping happily. She looked excitedly at Dr. Ashikaga in the distance ahead and gestured excitedly. Dr. Agai, look. Look at the clothes on me, this is the clothes that freshmen often wear in their sophomore year of college, and now they fit me very well. Ha. You too. Really. Dr. Ali stood in front of the long mahogany desk, looked at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi slightly, and said mercilessly. How did my body change back to being a college student, but my mentality also changed back to being a college student. Before waiting for Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi to defend themselves, Dr. Ashi urgently urged. In summary, Shinichi, quickly explain why you have become what you are today. I am very curious about what kind of medicine can turn a person's body back into a college student. It is a remarkable invention in the scientific community. During Dr. Ashikaga's speech, his body involuntarily walked back and forth in the study, occasionally glancing at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, which seemed extremely urgent. Without any hesitation, Haoyue took a step forward and confidently recommended herself. Let me say it. The bright moon. Kudo Shinichi, who was trying to explain clearly and calmly to Dr. Ashikaga, had not finished speaking as he looked at Dongfang Haoyue. Haoyue decisively turned her head to look at Shinichi and explained openly. Since I was the first person to take medicine and become a college student, I must explain it clearly. Just help me fill in the missing parts. Kudo Shinichi looked at Dongfang Haoyue with some concerns and agreed with a melancholic expression. Dongfang Haoyue, with her hands crossed over her back and her forearms folded, looked rigorously at Dr. Agai, intending to deceive him half-truthfully. I can finally unveil the mystery of that medicine. Dr. Ashi took a deep breath and looked happily at Dongfang Haoyue, smiling heartily and gesturing. Haoyue, hurry up and speak in detail. Chapter 7. Xinyi, everything is up to you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's like this. Dongfang Haoyue looked at Dr. Ashi seriously and explained solemnly. Just a few days ago, I was forced by a black-clad gang to take a pill and then passed out. When I wake up surprisingly, my body has turned back into a college student. It's the way it looks now. Dongfang Haoyue became more and more excited as she spoke, playing the role of a pitiful and persecuted character with due diligence. Oh. Dr. Agai let out a puzzled voice. Dongfang Haoyue was about to tell the doctor the story of deceiving Shinichi Kudo before. As a result, Xinyi grabbed Haoyue's arm and anxiously looked at Dr. Ashi, interrupting urgently. Doctor, pause for a moment. I have some personal matters to tell Haoyue. Kudo Shinichi dragged Dongfang Haoyue to the right corner of the door, with his back to Dr. Ashikaga, his mouth pressed against Haoyue's ear, and cautiously explained in a low voice. Dr. Agai is a genius scientist. After Haoyue doesn't want to expose her ninja identity, are you constantly being plagued by doctoral research? Let me explain to the doctor clearly, just stand next to Haoyue and nod. Dongfang Haoyue did want Dr. Ashi to know earlier she's Dongfang Haoyue. He is the only ninja in this world with supernatural abilities. Not for anything else, just to show off. Who made her a fire shadow demon stunner? Now listening to Kudo Shinichi's sincere words, Dongfang Haoyue gradually fell into contemplation and analyzed seriously in her heart. When I was still young, exposed ninja identity in front of everyone. The worst-case scenario is being threatened by someone using firearms, cannons, or even stronger weapons to cooperate with my research. The best situation is to become a well-known magical figure. As soon as I leave, I will be surrounded by enthusiastic fans from all over the country, facing a dilemma. From now on, I will completely lose my freedom and cannot appear in the public eye at will. The most crucial thing is, I will never be able to smoothly participate in the plot of Conan world again. Energy points have no chance with me. Crossing through the flames and reaching the pinnacle of life is destined to transform into bubbles in dreams. Dongfang Haoyue shuddered and trembled with fear as she reached this point. She huddled behind Shinichi Kudo and whispered weakly, and trusting. I got it. Xinyi, everything is up to you. Kudo Shinichi nodded confidently as he had a clear chance of winning, and whispered in agreement. Don't worry, I will handle everything well. Next second. Really? Dr. Ashikaga looked at the whispering Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, and complained in a low voice of dissatisfaction. What did these two little ghosts say secretly? I can't wait to know the truth. Dr. Agai spoke, amplifying his volume and urging urgently. You too. Why don't you explain what happened quickly? Okay. Kudo Shinichi turned his head to look at Dr. Ashikaga, responded with a smile, and pulled Haoyue back to Dr. Ashikaga, his mind wide open, and he said, Dr. Agai, actually Haoyue is an orphan who was previously adopted in the suburbs. Recently, Haoyue's adoptive father passed away unexpectedly, and she lived alone in a house in the suburbs. Moreover, Haoyue has not handled registered residence since childhood. Doctor, you know that orphans like Haoyue who have no registered residence and live alone in the suburbs are most suitable for human experiments. It's hard for outsiders to notice that there's another living person missing from the world. You're right. Dr. Agai nodded in agreement. Kudo Shinichi inserted his hands into his pockets and passionately fabricated. A few days ago, the Black Gang discovered the bright moon. They secretly captured Haoyue and fed him drugs that turned him back into a college student. To test the lethal effect of the drug. What? So it's like this. Dr. Agai was extremely shocked. He dilated his pupils and angrily scolded. Damn it. Surprisingly, there is such a thing happening. The Black Gang is really reckless. How dare they use live people to conduct poison experiments? As soon as the words fell, Dr. Agai gasped heavily for breath. Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi stood obediently and lovingly side by side, quietly waiting for the doctor to calm down. 5 seconds later. Dr. Agai regained his composure slightly and asked in confusion. Just now, Xinyi said that Haoyue was caught and poisoned. So how did Haoyue survive? In fact, Kudo Shinichi, as a detective who is only 30 years old and a top school student, naturally won't make any mistakes in storytelling. He calmly looked at Dr. Ashi and confidently fooled him, saying. At that time, the leader of the Black Gang said. To test the lethal ability of that medicine with a bright moon. He forced Haoyue to take medication, but Haoyue quickly fell into a state of feigning death. Waiting for the bright moon to awaken, but I found myself floating alone on the sea. Fortunately, Haoyue was washed ashore by the seawater, ran to the roadside, hitchhiked by a kind-hearted person, and returned to Mihua town. Based on my speculation, the black-clad gang may have mistakenly thought that Haoyue was really dead before throwing her body at sea. Moreover, when Haoyue pretended to die, her body must not have changed, but she only became a college student after being thrown into the sea. Otherwise the Black Gang will definitely dissect and study the bright moon. Kudo Shinichi transformed into a playwright and was extremely angry. Dr. Agai's eyes widened in anger, he clenched his fists, and loudly rebuked in hatred. The Black Gang is really despicable. Surprisingly, a living middle-aged person was used to test the effectiveness of poison. Dr. Ashikaga took a moment to rest and looked at Shinichi Kudo with concern. He continued to ask questions in confusion. How did Shinichi get to know Haoyue later? How did Shinichi take that medicine again? Did Shinichi also be caught by a black-clad gang for a human experiment? Almost. Kudo Shinichi smirked and quickly recalled the story that Haoyue had fabricated while running alongside Dongfang Haoyue earlier. Xinyi polished the story in his heart, modified some details, and calmly fabricated. Later, because Haoyue was worried that the official would not trust a person without registered residence registration when they knew this, and put Haoyue in a mental hospital, he did not call the police even when he returned to Mihua town from the seaside. And even if the official believes in such a fantasy, they may only be able to capture Haoyue for human experiments and study the principle of drug reduction. Fearless Haoyue, dressed in her old middle-aged clothes, sleeps and begs on the street, searching alone for the traces of the black-clad gang, trying to get the antidote to change back to her original state, or obtain the method for making poison and search for scientists to reverse engineer the antidote. Turning back into a college student is the best disguise for Haoyue, which is not easily detected by the black-clad gang. Just today, while Haoyue was wandering around and trying her luck, she happened to pass by a tropical amusement park called. Haoyue keenly noticed two members of the black-clad gang driving a car parked outside the main entrance of a tropical park. so she quietly hid far away, tracking the black-clad members all the way, trying to understand what they wanted to do. After all, Haoyue plans to find an opportunity to ambush them and steal the poison. Who ever thought? Kudo Shinichi came to an abrupt end. He scratched his head with a slightly awkward right hand, embarrassed to continue speaking. Dongfang Haoyue suddenly remembered something, her pupils suddenly shrank, and she looked anxiously at Kudo Shinichi. With worried thoughts in her heart, she said. Now thinking about it, the middle-aged clothes I wore during my travels were a serious logical flaw. If the black gang really turns me back into a college student, how could I wander around wearing my old middle-aged clothes? Not to mention being too abrupt, it would be a big trouble if the black gang recognized me through my clothes. I hope Dr. Shinichi and I won't discover my flaws, new one. Dr. Agai, who was completely unaware of the flaw, clenched his fists and urgently urged. I'm in such a hurry, you should speak quickly. What happened afterwards? It's all my fault. Kudo Shinichi lowered his head slightly and looked down at the floor, recalling with great self-blame. I took Xiaolan on a roller coaster and noticed two people in black sitting suspiciously at the back of the car, paying special attention to them. Next, I solved a murder case that happened on a roller coaster, played with Xiaolan late at night, and unexpectedly discovered one of the people in black sneaked and hurried into the dimly lit area. Chapter 8. Maori Lan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Later. How did it go? Dr. Agai was extremely nervous. Kudo Shinichi took 2 breaths of fresh air and reminisced heavily. Because I urgently want to uncover the mysterious veil of the man in black. And I feel like there won't be too much danger. So I hastily left Xiaolan behind, followed the man in black, and walked to a remote place. I found the man in black is extorting a chairman who smuggles firearms. Finally, ha ha ha. Kudo Shinichi smiled awkwardly and politely, feeling momentarily silent. Pop. Dr. Ashikaga patted his thigh and urged urgently, saying. What happened in the end? Don't make any fuss, Shinichi, sigh. After listening for 3 minutes and 20.6 seconds, Dongfang Haoyue shook her head helplessly and carefully recalled the first episode he watched, Detective Conan, with an imposing narration, another silver-haired man in black. He gave Shinichi a blow to his head from behind. Yuan fell painfully on the lawn and fell into a coma on the spot. The burly black-clad man who engaged in criminal transactions wanted to take down Shinichi with a pistol, but the silver-haired black-clad man stopped him. It's said that the police are still patrolling nearby, worried about exposing their location and attracting police pursuit. Dongfang Haoyue pondered for a moment, and her thoughts quickly fabricated. Coincidentally, after the last human experiment with me, they mistakenly believed that that drug could really cause rapid death, and even the autopsy could not detect the ingredients of the drug. The silver-haired and black-clothed man forcibly fed Xinyi medicine and thoughtfully watered him, hastily escaping. I didn't dare to remind Shinichi to pay attention behind him even though I knew the man in black had firearms and ammunition in his hand beforehand. I could only watch Shinichi suffer a heavy blow and swallow medicine. After a few minutes, I realized that Shinichi was indeed not dead, and I was worried that the man in black would return to the crime scene, thinking that I was not dead either. I immediately ran to Xinyi's side, struggled to carry Xinyi, and panicked and fled to a nearby alley. When Shinichi woke up, I honestly explained the situation of the black gang to him. Finally, Shinichi invited me to come home with him but happened to encounter the doctor blowing up the wall. As for why Xinyi and I took medication, one faked death, the other went into a coma, and after becoming college students, there was a significant height difference between us. I want to. After a moment of contemplation, Dongfang Haoyue calmly said, because people have different constitutions, there are some differences in the symptoms of taking medication. Or I took the first generation of poison. When I feigned death, the black gang collected my body data, improved the poison, and finally feed to Xian. Dongfang Haoyue spoke in words she didn't even believe, looking at Dr. Agai with an unchanged expression. Kudo Shinichi silently glanced at Haoyue and calmly looked at the doctor. It's like this. Dr. Ashikaga suddenly realized and looked at Dongfang Haoyue. He looked at Shinichi Kudo with heartache and criticized him for not turning iron into steel. Xinyi is really impulsive. How can one track a suspected criminal in black alone? And you don't carry any self-defense weapons. Kudo Shinichi scratched his head awkwardly and apologized, explaining. I was worried that the man in black running too fast might make my tracking fail, so I didn't think about it and chased after him. Dr. Agari's face darkened and he remained silent. Kudo Shinichi, knowing that the doctor was angry, solemnly comforted him by saying. Don't worry, Dr. Ashi. At least I am still alive and will never make the same mistake in the future. Sigh. Dr. Agari sighed lightly. His expression gradually returned to normal, and he chuckled and cursed angrily. Xinyi thinks I'm angry. I'm worried about your life safety, Shinichi. Xinyi and I have been together for so long. I have long regarded Xinyi as my own son. I absolutely don't want Shinichi's family to encounter any danger. Dr. Ashikaga. Woo-woo. Kudo Shinichi was moved to tears and rushed towards Dr. Ashikaga, hugging his arm and wiping away his tears. Dongfang Haoyue witnessed the joyful scene with her own eyes and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. This is the most sincere relationship between people. It really shocks me. Dongfang Haoyue was moved with tears in her eyes until the next second. Okay, Dr. Ashikaga pushed aside Kudo Shinichi, who couldn't shed tears, with a helpless smile. He pretended to be disgusted and wiped away the non-existent tears on his arm with his sleeves, happily criticizing. How can I become a college student and even change my mindset like a college student? Crying and making a scene. Ha. Kudo Shinichi stood back in his original position, gradually calming his moved mood and smiling softly. Cough, get back to the point. Dr. Agari placed his right hand on the edge of his mouth, coughed lightly, put down his right hand, and analyzed rigorously. I speculate that the poison has not yet been fully invented, so it has an incredible effect and caused you to become college students again. Yes. Kudo Shinichi lowered his head and casually arranged his cuffs, while lightly acknowledging. That's it. Kudo Shinichi's eyes turned left and right and then turned to Dr. Ashikaga, who had a heavy face. He switched to a tone exclusive to college students and praised him coquettishly, saying. Please, doctor, you are a genius, aren't you? Hurry up and help us manufacture drugs to restore our original form. Yes. Dongfang Haoyue looked at Dr. Ashi bouncing and praising him with joy. Dr. Ashikaga is such a great genius inventor. We can definitely make a magical medicine that will restore us to our original state. Dongfang Haoyue learned from the comments of netizens before his time traveling that Detective Conan is an anime with the theme of college student detectives. Therefore, Dr. Agari is currently unable to produce drugs that can restore the body. However, Dongfang Haoyue, in order to avoid revealing her flaws and being questioned by Kudo Shinichi and Dr. Kudo, decisively cooperated with Shinichi's praise of Dr. Kudo and disguised herself as eager. At this moment, Haoyue crossed her waist with both hands and exclaimed happily in her heart. In this way, Dr. Xinyi and I will definitely believe even more that I only became a college student after taking medicine. Ha, I'm so clever, that. Dr. Agari waved his hand in sorrow and apologized, explaining. This can't be forced. The ingredients of the poison are unknown. How can I make an antidote? Okay, then follow what Haoyue said before. Kudo Shinichi clenched his fists and lowered them to both sides of his body, urgently stating. As long as we find out where those guys are and obtain the poison, we have a chance to make an antidote. I heard you say that. Dr. Agari held his chin in a pistol-like manner with his right hand, and he agreed with deep admiration. Perhaps feasible. As Dr. Agari spoke, he unexpectedly remembered something. He raised his right index finger and placed it on his chest, swaying it slightly left and right, cautiously gesturing. Xinyi, Haoyue, if the black gang knows that you are not dead, they will definitely come and kill you, and may even affect the people around you. That is to say, about you becoming college students again, it can only be regarded as a secret between me and you. Dr. Ashikaga stood in front of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, with his left hand resting on Shinichi's right shoulder and his right hand resting on Haoyue's left shoulder. He scrutinized them back and forth, sternly admonishing them. Never tell anyone. Especially Xiaolan, she often unintentionally leaks secrets. Dr. Agai has not finished speaking yet. New one. So you're at home. The sweet voice of a girl came from outside the open door of the study. It's Xiaolan. Kudo Shinichi immediately recognized Xiaolan's voice and turned his head to look at Dongfang Haoyue, pleading extremely softly. Haoyue, help me cover it up. I'm worried that Xiaolan will recognize me from my college years. Before he could finish speaking, Kudo Shinichi panicked and ran to the back of his desk, squatting on the ground, nervously concealing his figure. Dr. Agai extended his hands straight to the left and right, forming an interception posture, without considering whether Xiaolan would doubt this situation out of thin air. Dongfang Haoyue turned 180 degrees and looked out at the spacious corridor outside the gate as if facing a great enemy. She solemnly recalled in her heart. Xiaolan. It's the first episode of Detective Conan. Maori Kagoro's biological daughter Maori Lan. Dongfang Haoyue was amazed when she remembered this. Her handsome face showed a look of anticipation, curious whether the real-life Xiaolan and the anime Xiaolan looked the same. But looking forward to the future, Dongfang Haoyue doesn't know if there is a sentence to say that shouldn't be said properly. She put her hands across her back, folded her forearms, covered her face with one hand in her heart, and roared madly. Fool Shinichi. Although he was the last one to enter, he forgot to lock the door. Otherwise, how could I not even think of my lines and have to face Xiaolan? Hey! Chapter 9. Edogawa Conan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Maori Lan's exquisite appearance is pure and flawless. She is currently in her second year at Emperor Dan Super School, wearing an open light blue plush jacket, deep blue lining, and light pink sweater. Her flowing black hair reaches straight behind her chest. She walked down the corridor straight to the open door of the brightly lit study and said unhappily. Really, even if you come back, you don't call me. The gate is not even locked properly. I'm so worried that I called you so many times. Xiaolan quickened her pace and rushed into the study, suddenly realizing that Dr. Ashi was standing in front of the desk, stretching his hands out for justice. Xiaolan was slightly stunned and hesitated to the extreme, saying. Dr. Agai. Before she could finish speaking, Xiaolan was surprised to find Dongfang Haoyue standing on Dr. Ashi's right side, who was cute and obedient. With a smile of concern, she said. The college student next to the doctor. Is the son of a relative of the doctor. Oh, Xiaolan, long time no see. Dr. Agai put down his hands and looked at Xiaolan with a calm demeanor, awkwardly greeting her and hesitantly saying, the college students around me. Yes, it's the son of a relative. That's right. This way it looks very cute. Xiaolan noticed that Dongfang Haoyue was shy and hiding behind Dr. Agai. In order to avoid Haoyue's resistance, she smiled and exclaimed in admiration, deliberately shifting her gaze away. Xiaolan lifted her head and scanned a circle of bookshelves in all directions, with a dazzling array of books. She changed the topic and praised. Wow! There are still so many books in the new family. And all of them are detective novels. The more Xiaolan spoke, the more headache she felt, and she didn't want to speak anymore. Dr. Ashikaga looked at the bookshelf and gave a slightly awkward compliment, saying. Yes. Yes. After all, Shinichi's father is a world-renowned detective novelist. Oh, my goodness. Xiaolan put her hands on her back, clasped them, and helplessly roared. If it weren't for reading these books since childhood, how could Shinichi become a fool who only knows reasoning? The words have just finished. Dong. It's the sound of the forehead banging against the table. Dongfang Haoyue had already come up with an excuse to help Kudo Shinichi cover up, but before she could open her mouth, she heard a thud coming from behind her desk. Haoyue curled her mouth and silently roasted in her heart. Really, what is Shinichi doing? Agreed to let me take cover. The result only took a few seconds before it exploded. How can I move this? Dr. Agai turned his head and looked behind his desk in panic. Mistakenly thinking that 30-year-old Kudo Shinichi was hiding behind his desk, Xiaolan decisively bypassed Dongfang Haoyue and Doctor and walked straight towards the back of his desk, pretending to be surprised and asking. Is there someone hidden behind the desk? Dr. Ashikaga was stuttering and unable to speak. Dongfang Haoyue held his forehead with one hand, and roast. What kind of teammates are these? Dongfang Haoyue realized this and angrily followed Xiaolan towards the back of her desk. Haoyue wants to take a look, what exactly is Kudo Shinichi up to? After 3 seconds. Xiaolan Shiran stopped behind Kudo Shinichi, who was kneeling on the ground and facing the wooden chair. Dongfang Haoyue walked to Xiaolan's left and looked down at Xinyi, only to find Kudo Shinichi was holding something in his hand but it was covered by his back, so much so that Xiaolan couldn't see it. Dongfang Haoyue carefully observed Xinyi and suddenly noticed that Xinyi was wearing a pair of glasses that Xinyi had just quietly removed the lenses from. Haoyue murmured sadly in her heart. What is it, just a pair of glasses? Next second. Xiaolan half knelt on the ground, smiling as she looked at Shinichi Kudo and joked happily. He is a shy college student. Xiaolan saw that Kudo Shinichi was indifferent and kindly requested. Hi, please turn around and face me. The words have not yet finished. Xiaolan pressed down on Kudo Shinichi's right shoulder with lightning speed, exerting a slight force, causing Shinichi to turn 180 degrees. She supported Shinichi's shoulders on both sides with both hands, and in an instant, she could see Shinichi's face clearly. Silent. A brief silence. Dongfang Haoyue saw the atmosphere solidify, and a cold sweat oozed from her forehead. Xiaolan was emotionally unstable and murmured to herself in surprise. This college student. Dongfang Haoyue's heart was half cold when she heard this. She complained in despair in her heart. That's it. Undoubtedly, she is the true goddess of Shinichi. Even if Shinichi wears glasses, he can still recognize Shinichi so quickly. Do you still need to explain to Xiaolan the story he fabricated before? That's too much trouble. Kudo Shinichi nervously looked at Xiaolan and asked in a low voice, pretending to be puzzled. Hey. Xiaolan remained silent for the time being, causing the atmosphere at the scene to become even more solemn. Dongfang Haoyue, Kudo Shinichi, and Dr. Ashikaga all thought to themselves. That's it. I'm going to be exposed by Xiaolan. Suddenly. Xiaolan hugged Kudo Shinichi tightly and tied him tightly in her arms. Her beautiful face was filled with a happy smile, and she cheerfully praised him loudly. So cute. Dongfang Haoyue, Kudo Shinichi, and Dr. Ashikaga breathed a deep sigh of relief. Haoyue remorselessly roast. It seems that I overestimated Xiaolan. Even standing in front of her, Xiaolan couldn't recognize the new freshman who had turned back into a college student. However, that's reasonable. After all, who would have thought there was a drug in the world that could turn people back into college students? Xiaolan doesn't associate college student Xinyi with super school student Xinyi. Excusable circumstances, not to mention that Xinyi is wearing a pair of glasses to cover up some of his face. Speaking of which, Shinichi's face, why are you blushing so red? Excuse me. Xiaolan turned around to look at Dr. Ashi standing behind her and curiously confirmed. These two college students are both the sons of distant relatives of the doctor. Yes. Dr. Agai, with both hands in his pockets, tried his best to suppress his panic and pretended to be calm, admitting intermittently. They are all the sons of my distant relatives. Oh, Xiaolan turned her head and smiled at Dongfang Haoyue. She turned her head and looked at Kudo Shinichi in her arms, asking kindly. How old are you? Kudo Shinichi gradually calmed down his shyness and looked at Xiaolan with a silly and cute expression. Subconsciously, he replied. 30, no I'm 18 years old. I'm also 18 years old. Dongfang Haoyue raised her hands high and looked at Xiaolan with a happy smile on her face. She whispered in her heart, although I am 10 centimeters taller than Xine, but it's also reasonable for college students of the same age to have a height difference, that's just going to be a freshman in college. Xiaolan stood up with her hands behind her back, leaning forward slightly, staring intently at Kudo Shinichi, who was struggling to stand up. As Shinichi gradually retreated, he replied at a loss. Yes. Dongfang Haoyue doesn't care at all why Xiaolan has been staring at Kudo Shinichi relentlessly, because that's love. Haoyue raised her hands high and agreed with a slightly excited smile. Yes, yes. That's good. Xiaolan looked closely at Shinichi Kudo and kindly asked. What are your names? Kudo Shinichi's expression was taken aback, and in his heart, he thought in panic. I forgot to give a new name after becoming a college student. Kudo Shinichi struggled to regain his composure, stuttering and racking his brains, saying. My name is. Xiaolan let out a soft sigh and unconsciously narrowed her beautiful eyes. Next second. My name is Dongfang Haoyue. Dongfang Haoyue extended her hand towards Kudo Shinichi, and with a crescent smile, she introduced. His name is Conan. Oh sister Xiaolan, isn't Conan super cute? He's my cousin, isn't he? Dongfang Haoyue clearly remembers that the anime name of Detective Conan was the name of the male protagonist after he became a college student, and without any hesitation, she helped Shinichi Kudo overcome the situation. As for what Conan's surname is, how could Haoyue, who hasn't watched the sequel yet, know? Dongfang Haoyue looked at Xiaolan obediently and lovingly on the surface, but in reality, she confidently pondered in her heart. If you can deceive Xiaolan now, hurry up and deceive her. At present, it's up to me to procrastinate and give Shinichi sufficient consideration. A reasonable surname is the key. And also, since I have already told Shinichi my name, so it shouldn't be difficult for Shinichi to quickly fabricate a reasonable surname. After all, it's me Dongfang Haoyue who is even more clever, ahaha. I not only procrastinated, but even referred to Shinichi as my cousin. To solve the problem of inconsistent surnames and different appearances. Kill two birds with one stone. Hahaha. Dongfang Haoyue thought and laughed in her heart with her hands on her hips, looking up at the sky. Yes. Yes. My name is Conan. Kudo Shinichi instinctively agreed with Dongfang Haoyue's statement, but in order to avoid Xiaolan's gaze, he panicked and took a few steps back, so much so that his back pressed against the bookshelf listing books. In the midst of lightning and fire, Shinichi's eyes caught a glimpse of a book written by Edogawa Ranbu in the right rear, and Fuji's sole thought of which surname to choose. Kudo Shinichi looked happily at Xiaolan and added firmly. Edogawa Conan. My name is Edogawa Conan. Conan. Actually, when Haoyue mentioned your name, I wanted to say. Xiaolan blinked and joked in surprise. Your name is so strange. Yes, it's like this. Kudo Shinichi explained in a slightly flustered tone, with his left hand supporting the bookshelf straight. My dad is a fan of Conan Doyle's books. That's why he gave me this name. Xiaolan raised her index finger to support her chin, slightly looked up at the ceiling above her right, pondered and guessed. I always feel that Conan is very similar to Shinichi. Dr. Ashikaga saw that the situation was not good, and Xiaolan actually began to suspect Shinichi Kudo. The doctor quickly clenched his right fist and slammed it heavily into the palm of his left hand, making a pop sound and successfully interrupting Xiaolan's thinking. He pretended to be excited and apologized. By the way, Xiaolan, I'm sorry. Dr. Ashikaga pushed Dongfang Haoyue, who was standing by watching the play, to the right of Kudo Shinichi and kindly asked. Can I foster these two college students in your home for a period of time? As Dr. Ashikaga spoke, he unexpectedly remembered that there might not be enough beds in the Mori Kagoro family. The doctor hurriedly added. They usually sleep on the same bed. Chapter 10. Love. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dongfang Haoyue has not yet responded to Dr. Ashi's whimsical words. Kudo Shinichi rushed to the doctor with lightning speed and covered his ears, causing him to dodge his hands and lean behind him in fear. Doctor. Kudo Shinichi's two big hands tightly grasped the inner edge of Dr. Ashikaga's white coat, which could not be buttoned. Excitedly, he looked at Dr. Ashikaga and urgently stopped, saying. Don't joke. Calm down a bit. Dr. Ashikaga gave a short, soothing voice, and instinctively wrapped his right hand around Kudo Shinichi's neck, covering Shinichi's mouth with his palm, and holding him tightly. Kudo Shinichi has difficulty breathing. He struggled non-stop, his feet desperately kicking around. Dongfang Haoyue looked sympathetically at Kudo Shinichi and forcefully suppressed the idea of rescuing him. She calmly judged in her heart. The doctor should have a sense of propriety, and now save the irrational Shinichi. If Shinichi shouts recklessly, it is easy to arouse Xiaolan's suspicion. Actually. Dr. Ashi pretended to be sad and looked at Xiaolan, who was leaning in front of her with a beautiful face full of doubts and confusion, and sincerely deceived her, saying. These two college students' relatives were hospitalized in a car accident and asked me to temporarily take care of their son. Dr. Ashi spoke, his honest face filled with a melancholic hue. He spoke bitterly. After all, I am a bachelor. Taking care of college students. Xiaolan, you should be able to understand me. Xiaolan looked at Dongfang Haoyue, who was standing to Dr. Ashi's left and posing in a handsome posture, and then at Kudo Shinichi, who was still struggling. She explained with a gentle smile. I have no problem, but I need to ask my dad's consent. Oh, really? Dr. Agai was overjoyed. He looked at Kudo Shinichi and then at Dongfang Haoyue, excitedly laughing and cheering. Conan, Haoyue, that's great. Okay. Dongfang Haoyue withdrew her gaze from Dr. Ashi and looked at Xiaolan innocently, raising her hands and laughing happily. Next second. Ha ha ha. Dr. Agai laughed 3 times and placed Kudo Shinichi on the right side of Dongfang Haoyue, who had vacated her position at the right time, with her mouth pressed against Shinichi's ear. Haoyue put down her hands and approached Shinichi openly, hearing, really. Kudo Shinichi looked at Dr. Ashikaga with displeasure and cautiously questioned in a low voice. You let us stay at Xiaolan's house. What if the situation is exposed? Very wrong. Dr. Ashikaga looked solemnly at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, and explained in a rigorous low voice. To restore your original form, you must find the Black Gang, right? Firstly, Xiaolan's home is a detective agency. Secondly, if someone entrusts a detective to investigate because the Black Gang committed a crime, then. I see. Kudo Shinichi suddenly realized and looked at Dr. Ashikaga, his handsome face showing a surprised expression. He replied happily in a low voice. In that case, we may be able to find the Black Gang. It makes sense. Dongfang Haoyue nodded slightly and looked at Kudo Shinichi seriously, pondering in her heart. As long as one can participate in the plot to obtain energy points, and in the future, travel through Hokage and reach the pinnacle of life, you can live anywhere. Ha ha ha. Dongfang Haoyue fantasized about one day crossing the world of Hokage, happily embracing each other, and laughing excitedly with her hands on her hips, until the next second. She suffered a light blow to the ribs. The bright moon. Kudo Shin looked expressionlessly at Dongfang Haoyue, withdrew his left hand that had poked Haoyue's rib, and whispered in frustration. Quickly rehearse your lines. Ah. Dongfang Haoyue looked at Kudo Shinichi with a bewildered expression on her face and said in a silly and naive tone, not quite understanding. The dialogue. What a headache. Kudo Shin saw that Dongfang Haoyue had not yet figured out her condition, sighed lightly, and rubbed her temples with melancholy. 7 seconds later. Kudo Shinichi and Dongfang Haoyue finished their lines and looked at Xiaolan innocently, bowing slightly and pleading with a sweet smile in a tone exclusive to college students. I hope Sister Xiaolan can take us in, please. Okay, Xiaolan's heart was already tender. She walked elegantly to the middle of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, rubbing their hair with both hands and comforting them with a happy smile. I'm going to borrow the landline number of the new family now and ask Dad if he can take in the lovely ones. You guys have to wait for me obediently. Haha, Xiaolan, you must persuade Mr. Maoli. Dr. Ashi looked at Xiaolan with 1,000 emotions and said earnestly, I really have a heart but cannot take care of these 2 college students. Okay. Xiaolan looked at Dr. Ashi, nodded warmly, and walked lightly towards the door of the study. During this period, Dongfang Haoyue felt a bit embarrassed when encountering Xiaolan touching her head. Although Haoyue likes Mei-chin, Huey, and Juxina, this is Dongfang Haoyue's first time enduring the gentle touch of a girl from childhood to adulthood. At this moment, Dongfang Haoyue's handsome face was filled with a brilliant smile. She looked at Shinichi Kudo and lightly poked him on the shoulder, praising him with a happy smile. Xiaolan is really a gentle girl. When Kudo Shinichi heard this, he remembered the scene of Xiaolan smashing the telegraph pole with a fist some time ago. He looked at Dongfang Haoyue with a shudder, and then said in a frightened whisper. That's how Haoyue has never seen her smash a power pole with a single punch. Ah. Dongfang Haoyue remembered the scene of Xiaolan blasting a power pole in Detective Conan's first episode, and her whole body was shivering with fear. She nodded nervously and speculated anxiously in her heart. Even if I were a ninja now, I couldn't beat Xiaolan Ba. Conan, Haoyue. After finishing the phone call, Xiaolan Shen stood outside the door of the study without realizing it. She folded her hands in front of her and looked at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi with a gentle smile, greeting. My dad agreed to your boarding request. 2 lovely college students come home with me now. Conan, Bright Moon. Dr. Ashikaga stood in the middle of the rear of Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, gently pushing them, immersed in fear, and eagerly urging them loudly. Hurry up and follow Xiaolan home, she will definitely take good care of you. Dongfang Haoyue, who was gradually breaking free from her fear, responded lightly and pulled Kudo Shinichi, who had regained her senses a bit, toward Xiaolan. She unexpectedly remembered something and stopped slowly. Haoyue looked at Shinichi, who was confused, and explained in an embarrassed tone. Xinyi, I took many embroidery needles from the changing room for self-defense. Kudo Shinichi's first reaction was confusion. What is the use of Dongfang Haoyue's embroidery needle? At this moment, Kudo Shinichi remembered Haoyue's ninja identity and looked at her with relief. He calmly comforted her and said in a low, carefree voice. It's okay, just some embroidery needles. The words have not yet finished. Ah. Dr. Ashikaga, who overheard a conversation between Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, exclaimed in his heart with astonishment. Embroidery needles are used for self-defense. Perhaps taking advantage of the bad guys not paying attention and attacking them with embroidery needles. Dr. Ashikaga is about to ask clearly and satisfy his curiosity. Conan, Haoyue. Xiaolan pressed her wrists against her waist on both sides, looking coquettishly at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, and greeted them with a friendly smile. It's already late outside, can you come home with me quickly? Here we go. Kudo Shinichi hastily responded, grabbed Dongfang Haoyue's wrist, and ran towards Xiaolan with heavy steps. As Haoyue ran, she stared blankly at Xiaolan, who was shy of flowers, and awkwardly said in her heart. Xiaolan's strength value most dangers can be easily overcome. After a period of time, the bright moon shone brightly. An empty and uninhabited street. Xiaolan walked lightly in the middle of the sidewalk, holding Kudo Shinichi in her left hand and Dongfang Haoyue in her right hand. By the way, Xiaolan looked back and forth at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, then looked ahead and called out with a smile. Haoyue, Conan. Dongfang Haoyue, who was deeply afraid that Xiaolan would notice the hint, trembled and responded with a pure and simple tone. What's wrong with Sister Xiaolan? Kudo Shinichi initially did not realize that Conan in Colan's mouth referred to Shinichi. Fortunately, Dongfang Haoyue took the lead in answering the conversation, and Xinyi only needed to look at Xiaolan without worrying about arousing her doubts. That. Xiaolan's beautiful face showed a hopeful smile, and she gossiped gently. Do you have any college students you like? Put it another way. Which college student do you think is very good? As Xiaolan spoke, she looked back and forth at Dongfang Haoyue and Kudo Shinichi, and then at the distant scenery. Kudo Shinichi looked at Xiaolan in shock and awkwardly responded, no. Aha. Dongfang Haoyue raised her right hand high, as if a college student loudly agreed to answer a teacher's question. I don't have it either. Aren't there any? Xiaolan looked at Dongfang Haoyue and then at Kudo Shinichi with a cheerful and self-exposed voice, saying. I have someone I really like. Ha. Kudo Shinichi looked at Xiaolan with some surprise and joked with a wicked smile. He's the new brother you just found. Kudo Shinichi clenched his fist in his left hand, supported his chin with his knuckles, and his handsome face showed a flattering expression. Dongfang Haoyue poked her head forward and looked at Xinyi, rolling her eyes imperceptibly. Yes. Xiaolan looked at Shinichi Kudo and smiled happily, praising with joy. Exactly right. Ah. Kudo Shinichi is shy and unable to speak. His hands had nowhere to rest, and in his heart he longed for happiness, saying. Haoyue listened clearly on the other side. I always feel very shy. But I am very, very happy again.